Morning, everybody. Hope you're all good. It's Good Friday, the 29th of March, 2024, and we're here to take a look at the weather and the patterns for the UK for the next, well, up to 2 weeks, I suppose. As promised, I said we're going to do this on a Tuesday and a Friday. So, yeah, hopefully we can keep up to date with the ever-moving situation that we get with the weather in the UK. Well, no prizes for guessing. It has been unsettled. We did have Storm Nelson blow through yesterday. It picked up some gusts in the low 60s along the South Kent coast and, I should say the southern England coast, but that's pushed out the way. And we're left today with a rather sort of better situation, lighter breezes, but still plenty of showers around. So this is the facts chart today. I won't dwell too long on those. It just gives you a bit of an overall picture. So this is today. This is tomorrow. Low pressure by then has pushed out into the Atlantic. Lighter breezes tomorrow. By Sunday, we kick round those breezes more to a southeasterly direction. A drier day potentially for many parts of the UK on Sunday. So perhaps Sunday the best day of the Easter weekend. But by Monday, a new area of low pressure developing somewhere just close to the southeast of the UK threatens a cooler, cloudier, and potentially much wetter day across the UK, particularly the southeast, on Monday. We'll have a quick look at those 850 HPA temperatures. So the cold air has now left Scotland. It's pushed out of the way, and we are bringing in some slightly warmer upper air. But yes, certainly nothing spring-like at the moment. And if we just take a look at the temperatures, it is still rather chilly, particularly over the north. I noticed 1.1 degree at Kinloss, 1.9 at Aldergrove, 2 at Belfast. But yeah, places like Magdalene and Camwell are below zero. Now, there was some snow yesterday and the day before. In fact, down towards the southwest of the UK, there was a fairly decent covering across Dartmoor yesterday morning. And also down on the coast at Plymouth. And yeah, as we can see, up in Scotland, it has been rather cold. This is the Braemar Road going up to, I think it's Glenshee Road, whatever it's called. But yeah, today just noticed that the snow has generally left and things are warming up slightly. Further south, as I've mentioned, things are less cold, but certainly no great shakes. Top of the hots at the moment. The Isles of Scilly at St Mary's with 10 degrees and loads of other stations further south recording around 9 degrees. It is brighter across many parts of England and Wales, a sunshine and showers kind of day. Now, what I'm going to do before I focus on the look at the next weekend, the upper air profiles are quite interesting. Spring is starting to show in some parts of Europe. Winter is still showing its hand in others. So what we'll do is we'll just run this through. So just notice this weekend, some really quite warm air pushing up across Eastern Europe. Temperatures in the low to mid 20s across parts of Germany tomorrow. So just a sign that the calendar is clicking towards April. Summer isn't too far away, but look towards the northwest of the corner, just a signal that winter isn't quite done. And I'm just going to run through these 850 temperatures. Notice, I think we spoke about it the other day in the forecast, that the north of the UK in particular is still at risk for some quite cold air, and the GFS this morning are still sort of showing that quite markedly. Some really quite cold upper air, perhaps down as low as -8, -10 across the north of the UK. And then if we just run this sequence through just for the next week, cold air never really leaves the north. Low pressure's still well in control. Winter isn't quite done. I think the signal, certainly for the first half of April, particularly for the UK, is still of a rather cool one and perhaps a wintry one at times for parts of the northern parts of the UK, Scotland. But once again, it seems that cold air is reluctant to get itself all the way down into the south. And before we close, we'll just have a look at the longer term 2 meter temperature profiles, and you'll see that yes, although temperatures may start to recover in the south with time, it remains rather cold across the north. So back to the weather situation for the next few days. So today is a sunshine and showers kind of day. Some of those showers quite heavy around the middle part of the day before they clear in the evening. Tonight, just noticed towards the far southeast a spell of persistent, potentially heavy rain. That is the boundary between that warmish plume that's pushing up over Germany and the rather average air that's sitting over the UK at the moment. So, yeah, a bit of a spoiler, I think, perhaps for the far southeast tomorrow. But for many parts of the UK tomorrow, as with today, a bright day with some sunny spells and showers. But just notice this is being played out by the GFS. Could be rather cloudy for many eastern parts of the UK. Sunday is looking like it is potentially the best day of the Easter weekend. Certainly an improvement for Scotland and the northern half of the UK. Should be a dry day, and I think for many eastern parts and southeastern parts of the UK. A dry day as well, but just down towards the southwest. Notice across Ireland, across parts of Wales, down towards the southwest, there is always the risk of showers. Push this through into Monday. Now, we've mentioned the Monday spoiler again, this area of low pressure that's going to be winding itself up somewhere close to the south or the southeast of the UK. The GFS is pointing to quite an unsettled day on Monday with quite a bit of heavy, persistent rain for a time. But once again, drier and cooler towards the north. So I think, this weekend across Scotland, across Northern Ireland and Northern England, not too bad, although it will be turning colder, and we'll just have a little look at those ensembles in just a moment. We push into the early part of next week. Cold northerly flow starts to come down across the north of the UK. Further rain or showers pushing into the southwest. This is Tuesday. And then as we move into the middle part of next week, that cold air in place across the north, as we've seen, low pressure pushing in from the south. The deluge continues. Rain and showers for the south, potentially quite wintry at times from the north. And even we push this forward to a week today. There's low pressure, perhaps a little bit further now north, taking the coldest of the air north with it. But yeah, across the south, once again, showers, longer spells of rain in a very unsettled start to April. Before we just close this out, we will take a look at those 8:50 temperatures just to get a signal to see just how confident the models are on bringing that colder air further south. Well, it doesn't look that way, does it? This is the situation for the 850s in London for next week. There's a little bit of a dip around about the sort of the third or the fourth, but yeah, I think it's fair to say temperatures will remain sort of closer to average across the south. Run that further north to Manchester. The signal is rather stronger for a cool down next week. And then if we move towards Inverness, we'll look at that. Pretty solid agreement now for a cold spell next week, commencing around the 2nd, straight after Easter, probably persisting for 3 or 4 days. And that can be reflected in the snow depths. If you're a snow fan, well, get yourself up to Scotland, get yourself on those higher hills above 300 or 400 metres, because down south in London, there's nothing on offer. Just close this out by taking a look at the 2 metre temperature trends for the next couple of weeks. Well, there we go for London. Distinctly average, perhaps a signal for things to slowly warm up around about the 4th to the 5th of April. But I think there's a marked signal there, really, for things to start to cool off from the 6th onwards. So, yeah, I think we'll be following up on that in a little bit more detail in the next couple of forecasts. Whereas towards the north, up towards Manchester, the signal, yeah, around about average. Things do recover. There's that dip showing a little bit more markedly next week. And towards Inverness, well, look at that. It's a cold signal, isn't it? It's probably around average for now. As mentioned, not too bad a weekend across Scotland, but things do cool off and only slowly improve as we go into the sort of the second week in April. We'll have a quick look at the rainfall before we close it all out. So there's your precipitation for Inverness. Not too much on offer further north. I think that area of higher pressure will keep the weekend relatively dry. But I think further south towards Manchester, there you go, look, a wetter signal, more at risk from those frontal bands, and London is fairly wet as well. So it's an unsettled picture for the next sort of couple of weeks for sure. An improved weekend across particularly the north. There will be its moments further south as well. Longer term, cold next week across the north with the risk of some more snowfall across those northern hills. Milder further south. Longer term signal, rather cold, often wet. Hope you found the forecast useful. I'll be back again on next Tuesday with the updated forecast. But in the meantime, thanks all for watching and ciao for now.